All right, everyone. This is my first video, so bear with me. I have here a Sun Tracker Party Barge 20. Now, my family likes to go fishing. They also like to just go out on a lake and swim and get pulled by on the tube. But I usually go out early in the morning and do some fishing until they get up, and I make the kids bring me lunch as payment for gas money. But there's no trolling motor on it, so it's hard to stay still. And anybody that knows a pontoon boat, a little bit of current, wind, it's going to move around on you. So I have to find my spot, and I have to anchor out. Well, being a disabled Navy veteran, lugging that 18, 20-pound anchor up and down can be a little rough on a bad shoulder and back. Plus, your hands are going to get a little sore. Well, I looked all over the place for different types of anchor winches and everything for pontoon boats. I found a couple of pictures. Some of them mounted directly on the deck. Some of them mounted up underneath, which is a good idea. But I also wanted something I could take off. That way, if we ended up leaving the lake, or we're on the way to the lake and we have to stop at Walmart or anything like that, I don't have to worry about anybody stealing anything. Well, there's not much room up here on this front deck. And some people might say, we'll put it where the front door is. Put a half door in. Well, we take our weenie dogs out. A couple of them are kind of adventurous. They're going to jump off and go swimming, whether the boat's moving or not. So, that's not going to work for us. There's room on the back deck, but I really didn't want to have to drill holes in the whole thing all the way through and reach in, because there's not a whole lot of room up underneath there with the transom to be able to reach and bolt everything in. So, after all my research, because I don't just buy anything just to buy it and then try it and it doesn't work and have to take it back, or I'm out the money and have to get a new one. It took me about a year to figure everything out. I even looked on YouTube, not many videos on installing a pontoon anchor winch, an anchor winch for a pontoon. So, I ended up going with the Minn Kota Deckhand 40, Minn Kota quick release bracket for an MKA 32, and I found this pontoon accessory mount from Extreme Max Sports. Now I also got some extra wire and quick disconnect so that I'm able to take it off when we park the boat at the house, or we decide to stop somewhere on the way. Anchor winch won't be on there and nobody will be able to steal it. Now, the pontoon accessory mount. It's got these arms right here. Those arms go right through these holes right here. And they develop special nuts that mount on the inside of the arms for you to bolt everything in. And that way you don't have to try to reach in there with an extension and a socket and have to use two people, because I'm doing this all by myself today. So, here in a few minutes, I'll show you all the other stuff unboxed. Okay, everyone, we're inside now. A little bit cooler, because all this next stuff can be what. Yep, there's Jackson wondering what's going on. So, here's your Minn Kota deck winch. And there is the quick release accessory mount, the MKA32. All the hardware that goes with everything. This is the hardware for the Extreme Max accessory mount. Now I've already pre-fit everything, but I didn't Loctite anything down. So I'm going to use Loctite and lock everything back down. And I'm going to show y'all what I've done, because I found a few tricks of being able to get to certain places, because they're a little bit tight inside that anchor winch. Now, you're going to need your Phillips head screwdriver, good set of pliers, and some other tools to go along with it. Also, for the winch, I got the remote Deckhand 40 remote switch. So that way you don't have to operate it from the back. I'll be able to operate it from up front. All right, let me get things a little more organized, and then I'll show you what to do. All right. On your deck winch, you got 3 screws. One on each side, and then one right back here. Once you take those screws out, you gotta be careful. Because when you pick up this cover, there's wires connected to it. You need to be careful. You need to run all your stuff through the hole up front. Slowly flip it around. Now, I went ahead and took pictures of everything on how it all hooks back up. That you can just unplug your positive and negative wire for the motor right off the circuit board. Then you've got a light blue and a dark blue connected up here to this switch. Now the dark blue is also connected to the circuit board. And it's real hard to get to because it's all the way up front and it's a tight squeeze. So we're going to take it off right here. Get it disconnected right there. Now this light blue one is connected back here to the main switch, and there's 2 of them. So if you disconnect it back here, you're gonna have to remove a whole bunch of other stuff. So just get your handy dandy pliers, pop that wire right off, pull it up through the hole, and set the cover to the side. Now, the holes for this thing you're going to be using is one right here. You're going to have 1, 2 right there, and then one underneath this motor. You can probably see it right there. The 2 on the side of the motor, they're a little difficult to get to. But I saw another video on how to take this apart, and it's real simple. You got a C-clamp right here. All you need to do is pull that off, slide the other washer over, slide the whole unit over, and just twist it just a tad so you can get it up in there. Now, you want to get out of the quick release bracket mount, you want to get the number 18 machine screws. That's what we'll be using. And the Deckhand 40, you have these little rubber grommets, feet, whatever you want to call them. You do not have to use them to mount them to the top plate. I'm choosing to use them so that it adds a little vibration cushion and it doesn't scratch all the metal in case I ever want to change anything around, do something else. That's totally up to you. So, I'm gonna get my handy dandy flathead. I'm gonna get this C-clamp positioned correctly. And other people might have the correct tools for it, but I'm working off what I got here at the house. And if you hold on a minute, I'll just get it and then show you. All right, there it is. Make sure you set that to the side and don't lose it. Now there's that other washer. All right, sorry about that. Dog need to go outside. So there's the washer I was talking about after you get the C-clamp off. Slide it all the way over to the motor. And then you're just gonna pull the motor towards you. It unlocks it from up there. And you just need to move it just enough so you can get down into that screw, that hole, and that hole. Now there is a spring here. If you move it too much and pull it out, that spring will come out. I had that happen earlier. But you can put it in there, compression it down, make sure the white ring is around it, or in front of it. That's what holds it. Because there's a switch right here. So, let's get ready to mount this sucker up, all right? All right, now we're gonna mount this onto the top plate. Since I already pre-did everything before, I know where everything lines up. There's only 6 holes. You're gonna use all 6. Now me, I go ahead and place my rubber feet right where they need to go. Lift up your anchor winch, hold that motor, make sure it doesn't move, and then line up the back 4 holes. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get this one done so that it'll hold it in place. Use a little Loctite. You like me, you got fat fingers. There we go. That ain't cinching down yet. Now I'm gonna go ahead and get this one back here. That's the most difficult to do. I have to use an extension on it. Right, put your davit on, because you got 4 holes. The back 2 align inside, so all you gotta do is put it inside. It's a tight fit. But you can get it in there. Now, go ahead and get this one where the motor is. This other one. And then you just get the front 2. And just make sure they're tight. You don't need to go super strong or anything like that. Just get them tight. Now, like I told you, make sure that spring and that white piece are good. Hold it, slide it back, and just slide that motor. You may have to put your finger down there and hold that white piece, and just get your motor back in place. And it'll lock in, it goes all the way. Slide that washer all the way flush against it. Get your little C-clamp. Get it mounted down, make sure it's in there. And that's mounting it on the top plate. Now you got access to tighten this screw back down. Now that you got that done, get your cover, reconnect that blue wire you disconnected, and the purple wire. Don't forget to feed it through the wire holder, the blue wire through the whole wire holder. Reconnected on the circuit board, the dark blue wire on the circuit board. And then you're going to connect your main power, your red and black wires. And the line back up through the hole. Slide your cover back on. There's 2 little slits in the cover hole. They go on the davit. Get those black screws that you took out earlier. Remember, your long ones go on the side. Now you could probably use a power screwdriver if you wanted to, but that is plastic it's screwing into. So it's just got to be hand tight. You don't want to use a power drill on plastic too much. Because if you overdo it, it's going to, the thread's going to rip it right apart. And your back one. Make sure you line up with the hole. Alrighty. Now, get your bottom bracket. Make sure everything's going to test fit. The MKA 32 is designed to, you sit down, slide it over, lock it in, instead of having to go back and forth. That's why I went with this one, because there is no sliding it back with that pontoon deck in the way. Once you get it on, we'll lever right there. You gotta pull it and lock it down. Pick the thing up, bracket stays, you're good to go. Now you got this little pin right here. It goes in a hole to make sure it stays locked. There's a problem. There's not enough room. That's the biggest downfall of this. But I've come up with a solution. Go to Lowe's, get a longer pin. Once I get the bracket where I want it on the accessory mount, I'm going to drill a hole all the way through it. That way I can go from the bottom. Not only does it lock it in, not only will it lock that release lever in, but it'll make sure and hold it even more, because it's going to be locked in with the accessory mount on the boat too. So let me get everything set up outside, and then we'll move out there and get everything mounted up. Okay everyone, we're back. Now I've got the accessory mount stuck in there. The instructions say to push it all the way forward. Well, as you remember me telling you, I'm using quick disconnects on everything for my wiring, so I can take the winch off. So I'm gonna have to pull it back a little bit so I can access the wiring. Now, you don't want to come out too far, but you don't want to be so close that you can't get into anything either. So we're going to go about right there. And then the instructions also say to use C-clamps to hold it. And you're going to have to use a level to make sure you're level. And then you'll drill a 1/4 hole, 1/4 inch, use a 1/4 inch bit and drill your hole through your aluminum and through the steel. Then you're going to come back with a 13/32 and drill your hole bigger. Now I'm going to get everything set up and then we're going to drill this first hole. Alrighty, be back in a little bit. Alright everyone, we're back again. As you can see, there's the mount on the inside of the pontoons, being held on with some C-clamps. I put some tape on the outside of the aluminum, so if the bit decided to jump and slide, it wouldn't scratch everything up. And as you see, I already drilled the pilot hole. I got my level on there, got everything level. And then you do the same thing for the inside. And that was with a 1/4 metal bit. Now I'm going to go back in and I'm going to drill the 13/32. Now normally I'd probably use my battery powered impact drill, but my son ran my batteries down. They are charged, but considering that's thick metal, I need to get in there. I decided to get my 1/2 inch drill out and get this done. It's a tight squeeze in here. Doesn't take long with this drill. So, real quick, I'm going to go ahead and switch the bits out because we're going to need it again. Now the instructions said to measure your holes 1.5 inches from the edge right here. Well, that edge is a little thick. I went maybe 1/4 inch more. It'll be all right. I also forgot to tell you, there's 6 carriage bolts in the top of this mount. And there's lock nuts, nylon lock nuts, or the nylon lace lock nuts up underneath. You're gonna have to loosen them so that you can slide the arms in and out for whatever size pontoons bracket you have. Plus, now you gotta move everything to the outside so you can mark your holes for your other bolts. Pull your tape off. In the bag for these came 2 regular bolts and 2 flange nylon lock bolts. There's what goes in those holes. I'm going to set these up here because we're going to need them here in a minute right now. So now we're going to pull this out. You can see how I told you these slide. Now you got to put them on the outside. And you got to put these bolts on. Those holes. Remember, I told you I was doing this all by myself. See if I can go from the inside. May have to find some longer bolts because there's a lip that prevents this. I'm trying not to hit my transducer. Yep. We're just gonna borrow these. They'll fit when it goes inside, but doing this, there's a little lip on the arms. There we go. You don't have to tighten it down, it's just to hold it. Stick your level back on there. And then start clamping back down. Alrighty. Get your handy dandy Sharpie. You've got one, two, three, four, five, should be 6 of those. So I'm going to go mark some holes. I'm going to cut this off for a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and mark my holes down the outside and down the inside. I'm going to go ahead and get everything pre-drilled. Then I'll show you how you're going to be able to put the bolt in using a nut, special nut they made, all the way down on the inside. I'll show you how that works in a minute. That's fascinating because I've never seen something like that before. And then I'll get this thing mounted up, and then we'll get ready to mark off where that bottom bracket, the bottom Kota mount goes up here, so we can drill that hole up here, get this thing done before the storm comes in. I have to do the wiring another day, but we'll get it all mounted. That way it's ready to go. This can stay on the boat. That anchor winch mount can stay on. It'll be on. And all we got to do is run some wires from the battery box down through the hole all the way here. And then the fun part, we got to run that remote switch from here all the way to the console, and then drill into that, and then figure out where to put it, and drill into that fiberglass up there. So I'll be back in a short few. All right, I'm back. Now you got 4 of these bolts. Where's the camera? And you have these, they're called clinch nuts. I've never seen them before. They're round. They're flanged inward. Not sure the right term. But they also have little teeth in them. I don't know if you can see it. There you go. I've already put 4 of them in. I'm going to show you how I did it. I can get everything moved right. I got my arm right here. You gotta remember which hole you're gonna use. There's 12 holes on the side. You only got 4 of these. So, you get 2 on each side. And then use 2 of these and the regular flange nuts, nylon nut, lock nuts on the hole you drilled through the bracket the first time. Put that on. Make sure the teeth are pointed toward the arm. I just get it nice and hand tight. Then I'm going to use my nice 12 volt DeWalt ratchet and the Allen head. Get it nice and cinched down. Of course, I went in the wrong hole. See if I can get that out. Yep. Like I said, pay attention to what hole. There we go. Get it a couple of good times, make sure it's in there. Yep. Then you just take the bolt back out and it'll stay in there. So, after I pick it back up, now we're just going to slide the arms back in. We're going to get those arms slid right back in there, get everything bolted up, and then start working on the holes for the top plate. Be right back in a bit. Okay, everyone, we're back. It's the next day. I ran into a little snafu last night. The bolts that came with the accessory pontoon mount were 1 inch long. Due to this little lip right here that holds, for the bracket that holds the pontoon and the deck together, those bolts weren't quite long enough to go all the way through to meet the flange nuts here and the grip nuts for these on both sides. So I had to make a trip to Lowe's. I got me some stainless steel 2-inch 3/8 bolts that fit all the nuts, and got them mounted up. So I got the whole thing mounted up for you. As you can see, when you put pressure on it, it's not going anywhere. As a matter of fact, it's moving the whole trailer. So it'll hold that deckhand winch just fine. Now, I've put tape up, and I put the bottom quick release plate on. I've got it lined up about where I want it. I've already put the winch on there and figured out how I want it. So it's sitting there. I put tape down to help from scarring up the metal. And as I was talking about the gap, that way you have room to operate your wires, and you can operate them from below or above. Due to the weather today, I think we're just going to get this thing mounted, and we'll have to do the electrical later. But I have a way to be able to get once I get everything bolted down, I can put the winch on to show you how it works. So you got 6 bolts to go in these holes. I'm going to mark the front ones, the back ones, and this back middle one on both sides. Now, you remember me talking about that little pin, and I got a longer pin. I'm gonna get down in there. I'm gonna have to get something longer. Get down in there and mark a hole for that. That way when you lock this sucker down, you can use that longer pin to make sure this arm doesn't pop off, and then you lose your whole winch. So, give me a minute so I can get that hole marked. I'll get these holes drilled, and then we'll bolt this sucker down and get ready to show you how it works. All right, everyone. We got the holes drilled. Now we'll just tighten everything down. Get that sucker mounted. I'll go get a battery. And then we'll see how this sucker works. Tighten everything down at once. and get everything hand tight. All right, everyone. I'm getting ready to set the battery up here so we can hook it up, show you how it works. You're wondering why I'm holding the ammo box. Well, this is my wife's battery box for her fish finder on her kayak. It's got a SAE plug on this side. Open it up. You got a 12-volt rechargeable battery right here. So, right before she wants to go fishing on the kayak, she can plug it up the night before, let it charge. Next day, take this whole box, set it down in her kayak. It's not very heavy. Hook her fish finder up to it. She's got a Humminbird Helix 5. And she's good to go. Instead of having to call me to look for fish. A lot of times she'll call me and be like, hey, come over here and see what's in the water. And then I gotta go pull anchor and go find her and do all that. So, plus she wanted one. She wants to go kayaking on the river with her brother, fishing. So, we just take this sucker, set it down, slide it over. Come over here, lock that arm down. Picked up 2 different pins. Got a pin that was just like on it, that was on there, just longer. A little bigger, so I had to drill out the hole in the plastic arm. It's got a little bearing, spring-loaded bearing right there to hold it in. Also got a cotter pin. I don't know which one will be best. We'll try both. For now, we're just going to stick the push pin in. There we go. Unhook the safety chain because I had hooked it all up. Now, this winch has 2 different down modes. When it's got weight on it, you mash the down button, you can let it go. It'll stay on, and it'll drop that anchor all the way down till it stops. Once it hits bottom, and there's slack in the line, the switches recognize it and it automatically stops. Now you can go ahead and move the switch to the off position, or if you want it in what they call drift mode, you keep it in the on down position, and that way if you start to drift a little bit, or your anchors, you start to drift, your anchor starts dragging a little bit and catches on something, it'll recognize it, and it'll pay out a little line until there's not any more. And then you got the up position. That one you have to hold. You mash it, you hold it, it'll bring the anchor all the way up, and all this folds up. So the anchor's not dangling, it's locked in. And then you got a safety chain that's bolted to the davit that you, with a shackle on it, you can use to lock your anchor on if you're towing your boat or anything like that. So, get this sucker hooked up, get it tested out. Now there's no weight on it because my anchor's down here. So, now this says minimum 18, maximum 40 pounds for an anchor. I have an 18-pound anchor. I'm hoping the 2 pounds don't do much. So, I'm going to put it in the down position and I'm going to give it a tug. As you see, it goes down. I'm gonna pay out some extra line because it got slack when we were working on it. Now it stopped. Now, I recommend, if you're using shackles for a permanent, get some small little spanning wire. And something I learned in the Navy, there's a hole in there. Cut you off a piece about that long, yay long. Stick it through there, find your halfway point, bend it, and then just start going down on the bottom, feeding it back through, coming down, and you're gonna figure eight it. Keep doing that. And you're gonna do it until you're satisfied. And then you're gonna make sure your ends are down here, and you're gonna twist it and then cut off the excess. That'll keep this little bolt from vibration or anything backing out. Alrighty, moment of truth. I'm gonna hold on to the line till the slack's taken out so it doesn't backlash on the spool. Alright, here we go. There you go, nice and locked in. Now let's go down. I'm gonna press it and let go. And it stops as soon as it hit the ground. There you go. Like I said, we'll come back another day when it's prettier, so I can take the cover off the boat and get in there and actually run the electrical lines and get everything hooked up for the quick disconnect and all that, and run the remote switch. The remote switch works just the same as the switch on the back. There's also a breaker switch back here, so that if it trips, you got a little switch just like your surge protectors at home. Alrighty, well, we'll see you the next time we do this. Alright everyone, we're back. I went ahead and wired it. I couldn't video it. The weather's been off and on. I had a break in the sun, so I just grabbed everything, wired it up real quick. Got caught in a little bit of rain. Had to bring in everything. Then it stopped, so I decided to finish. That way next weekend I'm good to go. All right, and you're probably wondering what you're looking at. Well, here's the dash. I decided to run the remote switch up through the same hole that my wires for my Humminbird Helix 7 go to. And instead of screwing this in to the console, I'm going to get some double-sided sticky tape. And I'm just going to mount it probably about right there. That way, if I ever decide to get another boat, trade this one in, move this to another boat, whatever, I can just pop that off the double sticky tape, clean it up. There's no holes in the console. So, that was that. You will have to take the screws apart, or take the screws out, and press the tabs on the inside to pull your switch out and unhook your wires to be able to feed it up through your console, through the floor and the console, if you run it the way I did. Now on a sun tracker up under the console, there's a big hole. It's got some rubber and some rubber foam around it. And all your other wires go down in there. your cables for your steering, your throttle, everything go down through that one hole. I fed it up through the bottom. It's a tight fit underneath there. Matter of fact, we'll move down there and I'll show you. Oop. There, where all your wires come out. So you need something to feed through the top. Be able to hook your wires and pull back up. And then you just, I started the remote wire from the back and worked it all the way up front, just following all the other wires. Now your wires for your battery, the hook to the battery, come out right there. My arms are just long enough to be able to reach it and pull out all the slack so I can feed it back through. Now, as you see on the Sun Tracker, there's no open space in the back part of the tune. So you can either run some kind of string, or I went to Harbor Freight and got me a wire running kit, like $7. Real simple. So we're all mounted up. It's all good to go. Here's the quick disconnect for the remote. Here's my quick disconnect for the power. I'm going to get some dielectric grease, put on the ends. That way water doesn't mess with it. It'll keep it from corroding. Yeah, the winch comes with this little cap that goes on the winch end of the remote. So we got our safety chain unhooked, which is important. You need to make sure you unhook that. If you trailer this, you can just hook this safety chain, this shackle right there. That way if something happens, rope breaks, chain breaks, you got this safety chain to hold the anchor. Now I recommend, probably what I'll do is I'll mount this thing before I leave the house, unless I'm planning on stopping somewhere. But I won't plug power up to it until I get to the lake and get everything unhooked. But we got power hooked to it. We're gonna hit the down button and go. Now, like I said before, you can either leave the switch in the down position, you can turn it off. If you leave it in the down position, it's got a drift mode to prevent or drag mode to prevent your anchor from dragging the lake bottom. So if you start moving and it gives enough pressure, it'll feed out more line. But if you put it in the off position, it's not going to do that. It'll be your choice of what you do. Now I'm going to get this back in the up position. I'm going to put y'all on my tripod. I'm going to climb back on the boat, and I'm going to do it by the remote, so y'all can see how it's done. I'll be right back. Alrighty, There you go. Now I'm gonna go get on the boat and hit the remote switch so that y'all can see it operate while I'm on the console. Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, fellow boaters. The Minn Kota Deckhand 40, the Minn Kota MKA 32 quick release bracket, and an Extreme Max pontoon accessory mount. Now, one thing I didn't tell you, well, no, I did tell you about the bolts. It's been a long day, I can't remember. And when you take this off, the quick release bracket also came with a cover, so that once you take your winch off and put this cover on, that way it protects that. Hope this helps. I know there's probably some mess ups. I told y'all from the beginning this was my first one, but I hadn't seen anybody else on the internet at all, anywhere, show how to actually do this and what to get. All the products are totally on y'all. I'm not sponsored by anybody. These are everything I chose to use. Be safe out there, and happy boating.